What's up, lads? So this would be the Scalpel V5 Full Steel Light. Um, I went over some dimensions and stuff like that, and I've come to the conclusion that let's see here. Let me just quickly. I've come to the conclusion that the previous holes were too big, and so based off of our data here, what we want is this, because if I do 2mm holes, so 5/64ths, it means that you can use 5/64ths pins and they'll fit in there real nice. You'll have just enough tolerance to get a really nice, easy fit on there. 1.98, so you can use 2mm drill bits and you can use your 1.98 pins. Part of the reason for that was because with the washer here on the rivet lock mechanism itself, the 4mm and the washer is so large it looks weird, and then it might be too difficult. It might be too harsh on the actual clip. When you want to sheath and unsheath, it should be a lot smoother to do it when it's a 2mm. So this is the regular one, and I'm going to play it safe. This will be the one we do first. Then this, oops, let me just, okay. And this would be like the light version, right? We'll see. I think we can knock off a few grams with this one. I think it looks really, really good. The issue here, what I'm scared of, is through the cutting process, you get all sorts of blowout. There might be a lot of blowout everywhere, and then it's going to be a pain in the ass to kind of clear up and make it nice and smooth. But, and then this corner here, because this is like actual size, like something like this. That's a pretty tight corner, but I don't know. The cutters seem to do a pretty good job even with really, really small corners. So this would be the light version. Another thing that I'm afraid of with this is that the handle will be flimsy. It'll want to bend around. But I don't know if that's, I don't know how big of a worry that is, because for a while now, we've seen sort of a trend in the knife making world where they literally remove like all of it. It's just completely empty in there. And I have a couple knives like from Buckgear, for example, where they have significantly less material in the tang. The reason it's a concern here is because this is a long, narrow handle. So the flexing might be a bit more intense there. So the worries I have with this are like blowouts from the cutting, and then the flimsiness of the handle, how strong will it be, and then what else? Yeah, so that's really cool. I don't know what you guys think about that. I think the silhouette is good. The proportions are good. I've been really thinking about doing rivet lock for the scalpels, but also I do understand that like the common culture in the US, the knives are generally full tang. That's a pretty standard thing. Wrapped handles, I love wrapped handles. I really like them. They're amazing on small knives. But on larger knives, sometimes it doesn't really make all that big a difference. And then I'll be getting a CNC router at some point where the scale materials can actually be done on CNC router. Because there's almost, if you're making knives, like if you're doing the scales by hand one by one, it takes so long. It takes up much longer. I mean, it's not that long. It's pretty quick, but especially if your starter material is already flat and thin and kind of, it's not like a raw piece of antler that you're working with. But a CNC router will help me actually create a model of the scalpel that's, affordable but also really neat. And having scales on top of a hollowed out handle adds a lot of rigidity to it too. So this is the Scalpel V5 FS Lite. This is the Scalpel V5 FS Standard. This will be the first one. We're going to go with this because we want to just avoid all the problems. And then, of course, another issue with this is that it costs a lot more to cut, right? there's an enormous amount of cutting surface here that the machine has to go over. And, how do we know what the results are going to be? Until it's done. So, as much as I would like to do this first, there's a lot more risk involved with this. And right now, I know that this is safe. Here we have the reverse grip box cutter. So here the edge will come upwards, the cutting edge will be here. And in my previous iterations, other Vs like V2, V3, I had a lot of people custom order exactly this type of box cutter style blade, especially people working in warehouses. So this is it was very, very, it was in demand. People really wanted it, so why not go for it on a cutout like this? It might be the case that actually the light affix, the full steel light might work actually better on the box cutter style blade. But I'll have to mess around with this and just sort of copy this over onto this. In fact, I think it's just a couple copy pastes. It's almost, I just have to highlight over this and then copy paste it over to here, and then you have it. But so this is a really neat style blade. I really do like those. I like the straight edge style blades. They're a bit more difficult to sharpen because if you do it wrong, you start to get like winky wonky kind of like dips in the edge, and then the tip is also has a tendency to round up if you're not careful with how you're sharpening your blade. It tends to not be a problem with diamond sharpeners, diamond cutters. If you got diamond plates, you apply a certain pressure correctly, and it just sort of does a really good job every time. So we have now, this will be the first one. I really want to just go straight to this, but I also recognize the issues I've had in the past doing complicated laser cuts and blowouts and things like that, and I'm not trying to make an expensive knife here. I'm trying to do something that's straightforward. So but this looks really, really cool. I mean, if you ask me, this looks really fantastic. And I think a lot of you guys would probably think, oh, I should just go ahead and straight away just do this. There is a problem with jimping, is that depending on how you finish it and machine the top, you can accidentally round these corners depending on the direction in which your polishing tools go. So you have to be very careful with that, because otherwise it's, even though you have the jimping, it's actually still slippery in one direction and sharp in the other direction. So you have to have your polishing tools go to this direction so that you remain those corners sharp enough so that it actually feels like something. Because if you don't do them properly, the jimping, it's almost as if they're not there. So there's that to sort of consider. But yeah, I think this looks fantastic, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. I might just go ahead and go straight to doing this one. But it's just, when you cut a big batch, 100, 200, 300 blanks, and you haven't done it before on this particular model, and there's a, that one problem is on all of them. So, but it would be really cool to do this one just to see how much it weighs, because this, which is the V4, this one, just by itself, full steel, weighs 33 grams. So I reckon, what do you reckon? Like, what do I think? I think this could weigh less. Imagine if this is under 30 grams. That's 1 ounce. Imagine if this weighs 1 ounce, how cool that would be. That would be really, really, really neat if we can get that to like literally 28 grams an ounce. If we can shave off that kind of weight, I think, just by looking at it And the jimping helps with removing weight because on a knife that's this small, it's already like 33 grams here. Any extra fucking thing you do, and that's without the grinding. So I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like with the bevels on. Yeah, so it's 33. I can actually, I don't actually have any of the blanks right here right now. But it's very light. So it's around 30 grams, It's basically an ounce just by itself, a little over an ounce. So, this is going to weigh more. This is probably going to weigh 38 grams or somewhere around 40 or slightly under 40 grams. And then with the sheath, who knows? So, this one would be very interesting to see how much it weighs. Yeah, the jimping, another issue, of course, is that it cuts into the kydex. So it's very important to have this type of rounded spine, because when you put the blade into the sheath, when you disconnect it and when you put it in and out, you're not running the spine, on the sheath continuously. There might actually be an issue here now that I look at it as to where because the sheath will stop around here. So maybe I need to remove a couple of these. It just looks good like this, but I might have to remove a couple of these jimpings just so that it fits more snugly in the sheath and you don't have these sticking out. Because the handle, if you were to put a scale on there, it would probably, yeah, stop around here. The scale, because there needs to be space for the washer, but then space for the kydex to go over the washer and flush against the tang somewhere here. So I think this one might have to be removed actually. Oops. Okay. Interesting. See if I can just do this. Oh, no. The thing is, when you're holding this and you got your pinkies all the way back here and your thumb is resting, your thumb actually rests over here. And so the jimping, if you want to clear wood very nicely, you don't want to have your thumb over the blade. You want to have your thumb over here. So the jimping makes most sense in this section. We'll see. We'll see. We'll play around and see. But I don't really have the cojones right now to, overcomplicate things. And just sort of keep it simple. But that's what it is. The scalpel is developing all the time. This is just a middle, like an in-between stage for the before the injection molded one, because like I said in the previous video, I'd like to be able to get the surface grinding outsourced. I have some friends there ordering a $300,000 surface grinder, and they would like to, well, they asked me how much grinding I would do, and I told them like all of my production blades would need it, because I have, I want to differentiate between, the forgings, the stuff that's forged. I'll grind everything by hand, but these kind of blades that are production based and volume based, it's better that as much of the components and the fitting and the manufacturing is outsourced. So it is just what it is. But here it is. So the holes had to be changed, and there's still 13 of them. I would love to see what one looks like with 13 pins in it. Micarta, white micarta, with 13 pins in it. I think that would look really, really sick. It would take a long time to do, but it would be really, really cool. And I don't know when this one will come along. There was a demand for them for a long time. There has been a demand for them for a long time. Some kind of reverse grip. I'm really excited about this one. I think it just looks really, really cool. It'd be really cool, really neat to get the ball rolling on this one as well. But we only have so much money and so much time, so it is what it is. At least with this one, I know that the handle is stiff. Everything is stiff. The tang on the existing, the tang on this one, here is pretty stiff. It doesn't move almost at all. And that's just with a 0.5 millimeter increase in the sheet size. So it's 2.5 mil, whereas the V4s are 2 mils, right? The carbon steel ones. And that extra 0.5 millimeter made a huge difference in the overall stiffness of the blade. So that's why I'm thinking it won't be that big of a deal. But I know that for sure that this will be stiff and strong. But, you know, again, the blade is so small. It's such a small knife that does it really need to be maximum strength? I've done videos on this before, like, you know, how strong do you really need it to be? This is extremely strong, but this is as strong as it's going to get. But, you know, is this more than enough already? Is this by itself more than enough? So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Here's some plans for the upcoming near future. These we're gonna boost, like rapid prototype. We're gonna get as fast as we can onto this project, and I'll see you guys soon.